Yeah.
Okay. That tractor, dragging up there, they need another rider. There was somebody down there last week or 2 weeks ago, mowing the berm down below.
Today. I don't know if you did or not.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has a year attached. What they do, National Night Out, the national thing comes out one logo a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
maybe a
because on
little bit different.
Facebook, I've already seen other towns, so I
Yeah.
thought we should start.
But those are the ones below us. It's
But with
When
Wayne
is
now,
he coming
Yeah.
back?
he doesn't know yet.
the
He
ones
goes
below
to the
us.
doctor tomorrow.
Tomorrow, he said.
Another
Yeah,
I didn't know he was.
Already?
Saw him in the news, thanks.
landscape here.
Well, we do the lows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, even I can, projects, everything.
Yes.
Hi. No, I've been good. I just wanted to
So,
be
okay.
unless they have a question for me.
You say we're not going to use that too bad? Which one are you going to get? That. But she's got it in her hand.
Okay.
Down.
We didn't even leave the house. We'll over to the swimming pool. Here's that. And the water was so there. I got it. I thought it was going to be. Oh, no, like when we're out in the water.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Greenwood, New Hampshire's Board of Selectmen's meeting, Monday, July 22nd, 2019. We'll start the meeting off with a roll call from my right.
Chester Duraki.
Rick Cozzi. Jim Rolls. Jim Cozzi, we have a quorum. For the record, we are recording this and all live streaming. Our first thing up is the Fire Department RFP exterior building repairs.
Okay, so the RFP for exterior repairs to the fire department closed on Tuesday, July 16th at 10 o'clock in the morning. We received one bid from JBC Construction in Londonderry. The warrant article was for $74,000. The bid came in at $56,612. I did check a reference from Raymond School District, and they were very pleased with this vendor and the quality of his work. So the bid came in under a difference of $17,388. I'd recommend that this be approved. Chief Presta is here if you'd like to speak with him.
I'd like to sit down with him sometime and make sure everything on the siding we're going to get done, because with your permission to figure out if we're going to if we need anything else, I'm going to come back to Matt and say, hey, we missed this on a trim or whatever we missed. I just don't want to be, if we're a little bit over, we get a little cushion, but I just want to make sure we are able to come back if we have a problem with him. I want to sit down and go through that whole building with him, seeing I wasn't involved in the first part of this. Any problems with that?
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
Just for the money there can be spent on that building, it just can't be spent on anything else.
It can be spent on
Not that
that
exterior.
Up to $74,000.
Correct.
exterior, we could.
And they anticipate the work would commence in 30 days and then be completed within 30 days of that. So.
Any other questions?
I'd like to sit down with them this week and make sure everything's going where we want to go. You can give me that information tomorrow. Yeah, that'd be great.
Should we hold off until Ralph talks with him?
No, I think it's been held off long enough. Here we are with July. This thing should have been started in April.
I don't feel we're going to have any problem with going late. We're not going to go over the 72,000.
No, I think
but if something's missing and we find 10 grand that should have been put in there and done, let's do it right the first time instead of.
Well, you got roughly 18,000 still left.
Okay.
So yeah, you can go to that. That's for sure.
Right. But I will come back if there's going to be an overage anyway.
I would move to accept the bid from JVC Construction in the amount of $56,612 for exterior repairs to the fire department.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, Ralph?
What else I got? That's personal file. I ended up, as far as the fire department goes, we broke our stair chair and I ordered one of those, I'm taking that out of our budget. You're gonna see that next pay period is $3,400. Striker, we ordered a new striker, come through state bid, so I didn't go for a second bid, but the striker seems to be the strongest one. We went to the state bid last time on that. And the only other thing I got is if you guys could tell me if there's something going on, like we're canceling the cones like on Thursday night, and I understand my guys will probably be up there anyways, watching the concert. Just make the phone call to me if you would, so I don't hear it 3 days later from them because they forgot to tell me. I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I like to do that with just about everything that we could. If you need something, just give me a call. I always answer my phone.
You want to go over your inspection? Or you want to wait on that?
Inspection on the library. I'd like to get Beverly involved in this, Beverly Gorlick. She works for the state at this point. She's $80 an hour. We have money in a commercial fund from everybody pays in that commercial through the whole town, and we have enough money to pay that through that, and that's why we made this fund. She is the person who did Lowe's and Target for us. I just want to do this right the first time, and instead of making any mistakes, if we have 2 or 3 people doing it, I'd rather have one doing it and go through this properly. But she is $80 an hour. Maybe we got to put a cap on what we spend out of that. Maybe we take 15 or 20 hours and figure it out from there. But that's up to you people, which way we want to go with that. But I'd like to have an outside person doing this so it's done right the first time, and no, we forgot this, no, we forgot that. I don't want to see that at all.
Any comments from the board?
I agree with the chief.
The only thing I personally don't want to see, I don't want to see a bill roll in here before we have the shit in from the courts who owns the property.
Okay, so that didn't come down today?
I don't think you're going to see that for 30 days, and I think you're going to see this 30 days to appeal. I'm willing to lay money on that, and I'm not a bad man. So.
So do we want to put a cap on this when this does
We can do
happen?
that now, if you guys want to do that.
1,600, 20 hours?
If we do 20 hours, that's going to come up to 1,600.
Right.
If you don't,
We start with that, and I'll
and
just
if
come back.
it's not, I can come back. You know, I'm not going to let it get out of hand.
Is that a motion, Chester?
Yes.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. That it?
That's all I got at this
Just to
point.
clarify, you don't want the review of the building plans to begin until the court decision, is that
So
correct?
we own the property.
Okay.
Is that plan that I have, is that an extra plan at this point, or nobody knows this?
I really don't know.
We have 2 plans, and that's one of them.
Okay, it is in my office, and if you need it, let me know.
Okay, next on the agenda, I'm going to put the glasses on and actually read what it says. Deeding of property, March.
There were originally 2 properties that were going to be prospectively deeding. One paid everything in full, so we don't have a problem. I have 2 pieces of property, which I gave you the maps and lots on, and I prefer not to mention names on live streaming. However, it's public record, and if any of you, I'm sure you know who it is, and you have any questions, feel free to come in and see me. They're both really hardship cases, both pieces of property. Financial, and on one of them has been a lot of illness serious illness. And so I've drawn up the deeds on both pieces of property. However, I've also drawn up the deed waivers, which allows you to waive taking the property back, the town taking the property, but it will be continued to be liened. So it's going to have to be your call on this. If I may, I strongly suggest to the board that we do the waivers. We'll continue to lien them, and when the properties are sold or any changes in the ownership, the town will get their money because we've liened it. So with all the interest and so forth. You know the two pieces of property. You both have them, you all have them. I believe. If you don't know the names, I'll be glad to furnish them, but I really prefer not to put them on live stream.
And if I may, I'd like to just add that the tax liens remain in place and have super priority over all other
That's correct.
liens. So
Even
the
IRS.
town will be first on the list.
Yes.
Even IRS.
There's some serious issues on both pieces of property. I don't know how they're going to get resolved, but we continue to lien them. So if any changes are made, or they sell parts of it, or all of it, or sell whatever they have in their home, the town will get their money.
Do you need a motion from us on the waiver?
Yes, and I have the waivers if you would like to sign them this evening, or what would you like to do?
Personally, a motion. That's where we want to go.
I'd like to make a motion that we sign the waiver form, the lien waiver form on map R739 and map R2215.
Second.
That's technically what it is, legal.
It's a deed waiver.
Deed waiver.
Deed waiver.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's all right.
the deed waiver. Stand to be corrected.
Any further discussion?
Can I add one comment?
Sure.
If the board does sign this deed waiver form and the later date decides they want to take the deed, they can still do that.
Yes, you can. You have that option. You have that option. It's every year. I mean, this is a yearly thing.
So you don't lose that option. But
And it's been the same folks every single year, and I know I've been before you before. So
All in
I
favor?
have,
Aye.
so would you like to sign these?
Yeah, we'll sign them now. That way you can leave. Like that?
A lot easier. There's one for each piece of property.
All right.
All done, Jen?
Okay, next on the agenda is the welfare agreement with the city of Portsmouth.
Chester didn't sign that.
Marge on stage again.
I know.
Yeah, if I may just introduce this briefly. At our last meeting, we discussed the option that we have of outsourcing the screening and the review of welfare to the city of Portsmouth. That option remains on the table. The board asked for some additional information. I have a table here of information I was able to collect that shows total welfare distribution and the total number of payments. The town currently has not been tracking the number of approved cases versus denied. I know that was one thing the board was interested in, but this will give you kind of a snapshot of past history, which may change going forward every year. The number of cases is often dependent on the economy and other factors outside of our control. One of the big advantages to going with Portsmouth is that it reduces the likelihood of recipients shopping around to find the town that's most favorable. The way the state laws are set up for welfare, it doesn't matter if they are a resident of the town when they come in for assistance. We still need to review the applications. And by going with Portsmouth, that reduces the likelihood of recipients shopping around. So that's one of the biggest advantages I see to going with Portsmouth. Our town clerk is here to also talk to the board about this, as she assists me with the welfare cases.
I agree with Matt. the $50 an hour for the time that it takes Matt and I to have a person come in, and we have to give them an application, they have to fill out all the application, fill everything out, then they've got to bring it back to us, and we either approve or disapprove it. My biggest concern is liability. If we, for some reason, say no, and we should say yes, we could be sued. And I really don't want to see that happen. The woman that does it in Portsmouth, just to give you a little background, actually she's a Greenland resident, so it's her tax dollars too. She's been doing it for 20 years. Matt and I have been doing it, I did it with the former town administrator for about a year or so, maybe a year and a half. I didn't have much training, and Matt came along, and he's been kind of dropped in his lap. We're both kind of like sometimes deer in the headlights, and we don't want to make mistakes and get sued. We're concerned about it. So for the $50 an hour, and I know, Jim, you were concerned about it because you thought it was a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. If you add my salary and his salary, and we take hours to go through stuff and make sure that the person is qualified to be able to receive the help. We're not talking about the people who come in for a gas card or a food card. That's a no-brainer. It's the tough cases where we had a gentleman come in last Friday. He lives in Seabrook, but he came to Greenland because, we helped him before. Why not go back to Greenland? And driving a brand-new Jeep. I mean, these are the kind of things that we want to try to avoid. We helped him with a gas card. But, he went on his merry way, and he'll probably hit another town. It does not matter where the people live. If they are in our town, we have to help them. That's the law. And the liability is very scary. It was suggested to me with the last board that we get a hold of Portsmouth and have Portsmouth do it. But what it's going to take, I mean, we just never know, like Matt says, you never know. We've had an influx the last week or so, but there are times we get nobody will come in. And some of them are pretty hairy cases, to be honest with you.
I really wasn't concerned about the cost factor, the $50 an hour. I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, I pay more than that to my septic guy. So, I was more concerned about someone locally here getting lost in the shuffle in Portsmouth. Someone who deserves some help. That was my main concern. My other thought would be, perhaps we could see about changing the law, because I think it's ridiculous that people from another town can come into a town that they have no ties to and take the tax dollars from us.
No, they tried, Jim, and that's what's
I know that
happening.
it's been
What happens is there's certain people, and I can't mention any names, of course, because of, it's like HIPAA. They go from town to town. So if they don't get it here, until they hit a place, they could be up at the truck stop, living in their truck. I mean, we've had those too. I mean, we've had a lot, not with Matt here, but when former town administrator, when I was doing with her, I just feel safer for us, all of us, to have it, to go with Portsmouth. And I know and you can, I read the memorandum of the agreement. You can cancel it at any time. It isn't like we're sealed in stone forever. This expires next year. However, you can cancel it within so many days with a letter to the city of Portsmouth and say, we don't need it any longer.
One more thing to consider is that we aren't giving up control. If there's somebody that we feel needs assistance, we just need to direct Portsmouth to provide that assistance.
Right, exactly.
Even if they would not normally qualify under the regulations that Portsmouth follows. We can override that by making...
Given all that, I would move to approve the City of Portsmouth's welfare office to process Greenland's welfare applications. The town administrator is authorized to sign the memorandum of agreement with the City of Portsmouth.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, there's nobody signed up, so we'll move right along to approval of minutes.
Are you looking at the Monday, July 8th?
Anybody spot any errors or omissions?
I move to approve the minutes of Monday, July 8th, 2019, as written.
Do I have a second?
No second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Hopefully update.
We'll do a Coakley update at this time.
The week's library update.
Jim Marsh, our building inspector, has received and is reviewing the building plans for the library expansion. The hearing for clarification will be on Monday, July 22nd at 9 o'clock at the Rockingham County Courthouse in Brentwood.
Okay, Seacoast Cancer Cluster appointment.
Martha Wasso is a resident and town health inspector, has applied for appointment as the town's representative on the Seacoast Cancer Cluster Commission. She was a representative for us for a short time on that commission and would like to serve again. We have no other applicants at this time.
Any discussion?
I'll move to appoint Martha Russell as the town's representative on the Seacoast Cancer Cluster Commission.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is the, I guess I should have, personnel policy is the next thing on the agenda here.
Okay, so you have copies of the town personnel policy. A lot of the changes in here were actually from 2017. We just could not find a formal vote that was taken on these changes. I know Charlotte went through and just organized this a little differently too from that point. And we've also added on here a few other small modifications, mainly the security camera surveillance policy, which was worked on by Chief Cresta and Chief Laurent. Certainly appreciate their help in that. What I'd ask the board to do is simply to approve it, and then we can modify as we need going forward over the course of the next few months. But I'd like to have a baseline at least that we can work from, and this establishes a base. Nothing is written in stone. Certainly we can make changes as we need to going forward, but I think it's important that we at least have a base. And this is essentially what the town is operating under, but we just need to make it formal. Again, most of these changes were from 2017, with the main exception being with the security camera policy.
Well, I have a question. I noted in here that part of the policy is the annual review. Are we going to be doing that? Because if we're not, then we've got to take it out of the policy.
I think
thought
it's
we
good
just-
practice.
Well, we discussed this before and decided that, in my recollection, that it really wasn't the best thing to do.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of work for, it doesn't seem to really hold much promise.
I'd have to agree with you, John. In the past, it's just, hasn't done much for, town, so. It is a lot of work. I would recommend we eliminate it. If somebody demands one, we can always have one.
Certainly open to having a motion with, striking a section if need be or something.
What section is that, Jim?
Do you have?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what
I read it 2 days ago here, so. Full lifetime.
First time we did this, I went and marked it out.
Yeah, it's section 4.2.
So you're moving to eliminate section 4.2?
Well, let's see what 4.1.
4.2, performance evaluation.
Annual performance. Yeah. The other one is probation, that's standard.
All right. I guess I would move to accept the personnel policy as presented, striking section 4.2 performance evaluations, subject to further review.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
I have a question, Chip. Just, in the draft, I think we're all looking at the same one. There's just red highlighted, like, comments in it as far as things I assumed for you guys to look at. I'm just not sure if they will be, if they're adopted as questions or
Okay.
like on page 15, there's some red in there. So I'm just not sure if you're adopting,
Well,
like if you should address the questions or.
My motion was to take it as written, and I would include that with the comments in red.
With the exception of like what's in the parentheses, the sentence moved from below, anything.
Well, but like
Grammar.
on 17, it says, question, if a police officer is scheduled to work 10 hours, is it a day or is it hours or, there's like questions throughout it. Which I'm not questioning questions. I don't know if you guys want to rule on that before you accept the policy or.
Well, I think right now we gotta do something.
Absolutely.
We're kind of, our butts are kind of hanging out.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, why don't we just go with what we just did?
Yeah.
And then on our
Is
next
that something we're
meeting,
gonna attack next meeting?
It can be anything that you guys want. They're questions, so I want to know. I want to be able to follow.
How's that?
Yeah, I just want to be able to follow the policy.
well, I think that we can handle some of these questions at the next meeting.
Okay.
There's not that many.
Yeah, we'll try to highlight we'll go through and highlight some of these and.
Yeah, it's not a ton, it just,
And
I
perhaps
don't know if I should go days or hours or what.
well, you decide what you want and you present it to us with your reason.
That sounds fabulous, thank you.
Keep that
And
simple.
then we'll decide.
Absolutely. I won't come in with a book and appendices.
Pictures is helpful.
I agree.
Okay. Next, let's see, any other old business we got here?
Yes. I want to know what the rat situation is, the dump.
Don't call it that.
Always bringing it up.
We had GSC go out there, I believe they were out there last Wednesday. if I'm
Yes.
correct, yeah, and they were looking around. I haven't heard back from them yet regarding recommendations. I had indicated to them that the town would favor an organic solution that wouldn't hurt the wildlife. And he was going to review the setup we have there and make recommendations. I don't have those recommendations for you at this time.
So you don't know if they saw anything,
I
saw
haven't
signs
heard,
of it?
I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, he didn't really talk to me when I was up there, other than he'd go look it all over and everything. The times I've been up there, I haven't seen a rat,
No, I haven't either,
so.
not in years.
I got into the thick of the garbage with the flies.
Good man.
He's such a good guy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other old business? All right, new business, we got PA 28 inventory and taxable property.
Yeah, I don't believe Greenland needs to do this year, so I'm just recommending that it not be done. The inventory for taxable property, this would give you some statistics that you could fall back on and may reduce the need for, make it a little easier for assessing in the future, but we're pretty caught up and usually you don't see much for change. And administratively, it's a lot of work to put this together, send it out. And for the residents that get the letter from the town, which would be all the property owners, it would subject them to up to like a 1% tax penalty if they don't send it back in. So you have to, consider that. Do you really want to impose something that could result in a tax penalty for the residents if they don't complete it? So I would recommend that it not be done this year.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to move to not utilize the PA 28 inventory of taxable property in 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second.
No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next we want to look at is the water cooler for the town office.
Many of you know the water cooler out there is broken. The prior town administrator had indicated that the cost would be around $15,000. I haven't verified current information on, if that's gone up. Generally, the costs do go up. And at the chair's request, we researched a few options. One of them would be to have a water, it's not really a water cooler with a jug as in the traditional sense, but it would be piped in directly to the water. It would filter the water and provide hot and cold water. There are a couple companies that do that. We checked in with Stony Brook and Castle Rock. Actually, that was Charlotte that did the work, and I'd like to thank her for doing that. She did a good job getting these quotes. The cheapest being Castle Rock was going to be $25 per month. And for that, generally, you get filters changed. And perhaps Tara could speak more to that because that's the company that's up at the police department.
Yeah, the police department utilizes that.
Okay, great. And you're happy with them?
Very happy.
Okay. Sorry, I said Tara, and I just realized she's not there. So, and then the other option is bottled water. And of course, you can get packs, multiple packs of that, 8 to 17 ounce bottles of that for roughly $10 a month. So that's the cheapest option, is to just get bottled water, bring it out, set it up on the table or something, so people, if they need water, especially during the summer, can have a drink and stay hydrated. But this was at the chair's request, so I'd like to ask for his input on this.
He usually said, I've had a couple of people who've been in meetings, they asked what if they needed some water, and I said the bathroom, and they get the weirdest look. I don't know if they think I need the toilet or what, but,
We work for DEA.
So the police department uses the Castle Rock?
Yeah, so it's piped in, it's really it's a water filtration system, so it's just the water, town water that we have in the building anyway.
Oh, okay.
Runs into that, and you have the option of hot and cold water, and, so we just fill up your, the guys fill up their, they have their portable water bottles they take with them in the car, and that's what we use, and very happy with it, no issues.
What's the monthly cost on that? Is that $25 a month?
I would defer to, Matt or the chief for that number.
Yeah,
Well, that's what it says here.
Charlotte got that information by contacting the representative from Castle Rock. So I'll remind the board that this isn't something that's been budgeted for this year, but if this is something the board is interested in doing, it may consider budgeting for it next year and just going with the cheapest option for now until the end of the year would be just to provide the small bottled water for people and put this in the budget for next year, but it's at your purview.
Well, I'm probably not the best one to talk on this because my father used to tell me that drinking water rusts your pipes. So I took him up on that, and I drink very little water, much to my wife's chagrin. But we have got a lot of money that we're going to be spending this year. I'd rather see us buy some bottled water. I buy it for the Betts Hall, get a case of 36 at Market Basket for $2.99 when it's on sale. And let's see how that works for the rest of the year, and then we can talk about it when it's time to set a budget. That's my opinion.
Yes, Marge?
Chip, we can put it right in the refrigerator.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
you can
chill
fit
it.
at least a couple cases in there easily.
Problem is, you won't go too deep because it does, surprisingly, it does go bad. It doesn't keep forever.
How much of a demand do you have, actually?
What?
How much of a demand have you had for it?
Not a lot, not a lot. It's just that a couple of times I've been asked, and, you know, they do get that strange look, yeah, get it right out of the bathroom, I keep it, say the sink.
Yeah.
Well, if we put a case in the refrigerator,
It's just we had the fountain here, it hasn't worked in 20 years.
you know.
I think it would be a lot less expensive than $300 a year for the monthly fee plus a $75 installation. I would recommend that I'm going to move to approve the purchase of 8 to 17 ounce bottles of water as needed and make them available.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is abatements.
Yep, the assessors have prepared several abatements. They're all listed here by map and lot number and by address. The recommendation on a number of these was to grant, and there were a few, I think 3, that were for denial.
Any further discussion on this issue?
If you want to go through and do one motion for all of them, we could then break it out per line. I just ask that you read out you can just read off the map and lot number and then the recommendation. For instance, R419, recommended grant, then go to the next line.
Why do we have
Follow
to
the
do
recommendations.
Why do we have to do them individually? The motion set up an says to approve them as recommended by the assessor.
For public record, you could do it either way. But
Just
for-
have
for-
to list the list, yeah.
I would go through the list personally, but you can do it that way if you so choose.
I'm going to move to approve the abatements as recommended by the assessor. Hopefully he knows what he's talking about. He knows more about it than I do.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll be passing those around if you want to just sign where it's indicated. And then pass it back.
One page or just one page?
One page. One page.
One page.
One page each.
What happened to it?
What?
I think we missed one. Somebody forgot to put a green.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's-
Yeah, I think the green sticker might have fallen.
No, I don't know if that's page 6 or not. Okay, I thought I saw this one already coming through.
I just passed
This may be
one.
a copy.
What
Yeah.
number is
Yeah.
this is Newport.
This is Richards. I'll hold this one here until you get through and see if it's a duplicate. Rich Drive is a different one. signing denials too.
Yes. You do consent.
Anything about rescuing dogs again?
We had 19 out of almost 900. We didn't pay. That's not bad.
That used to be.
We'll keep calling, sending letters.
Yeah, Don.
Don Miller, 511 Post Road. I wasn't here to sign up to speak, only because I was going to watch it streaming, and I just want the board to know that that's the only camera that's working.
Okay.
This one, I couldn't get a picture on it, that's why I came down. I know you don't usually like.
I was informed that we had complaints about that too.
Okay. And Charlotte said she couldn't figure out what it was, so it would behoove the board or somebody to go to the company and get it down here to show us how to work it. So
Actually, the only thing we have to dispose of is turn it on, so something's wrong.
she said she had them on, but this one wouldn't, she couldn't get this one, she couldn't get
Probably
this
an
one.
internal problem.
Okay, and that's, I don't blame her because she said, she did what they thought her to do, so. Just for your information purposes.
Yeah.
I'm not here complaining, I didn't want to go out in the rain tonight,
Then let's sit back and.
And you guys know I'm,
Must see TV.
I'm glad you're watching me, Don.
thank you for your
Thank you.
accepting my comments.
No problem. We don't know if it's broken, no one tells us. Any other new business?
Well, this probably should have gone under old business, but I was up and looked at Water's Edge, and they did an excellent job there. I thought it was beyond what I thought was going to happen there. We'll see how it holds up.
And the end of Dearborn looked good too.
Yeah, I agree. I have something. Matt, we talked about Osprey Cove at the other end, the other side of Water's Edge, deterioration from electrical work.
Yes, yeah. I shared pictures I took in the packet
Right.
when I was up there last. I did reach out to Eversource. I'm waiting to hear back from them.
Since then, they put topsoil over it, so it's kind of been covered up.
It's been covered up with loam the last time I was out.
Okay, it was, all right. I just wanted to be
Yeah,
sure we're on
and
the same
I
page.
called them to complain because it shouldn't have been loam. It should
No,
have
and
been
then
gravel.
with the other side, all brand new gravel and everything with the hot top, this is how it's supposed to be done, this is how it's not supposed to be done, and it's getting worse by the
The
day.
topsoil will just erode, yeah. It's
Yeah,
not-
it already is, so, yeah, all right. That's all.
Yeah, I'll continue to follow up with them, but I
Thank you.
appreciate that. You're out there more than any of us, so if you, let me know, please, if you go up there and correct that. In the meantime, I'm gonna continue to reach out to the Portsmouth office. of
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right. Manifest.
Yep, that's Exodus. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
He's not here.
No, it's not here.
He'll get it to him probably.
We only need three.
We only
Huh?
need 3.
You only need 3? Oh,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
yeah.
Form, sorry.
See, I'm glad you guys have been doing this longer than me.
Sorry.
Is it over?
No.
Oh, yeah, the boring part's coming up next.
Okay. You're gonna sign off on payroll?
That's what I'm here
Basically, yes.
That's a veteran.
for. Okay. I hereby approve the attached payroll number 15, pay date July 25th, 2019, period July 28, 2019 through and including July 21st, 2019. Gross amount excluding payroll liabilities at $55,817.28.
Open it up.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right,
Oh, okay.
With an
Okay. With the accounts payable, I pulled 2 invoices, if you guys agree with me. How's this one for? Oh, that's right, yeah, okay, that's right. I'm looking for the explanation right here. In our last meeting, if I'm not mistaken, okay, Monday, 7/8, we approved acceptance of a donation plantings for Van Etten Drive from Barry Potnack, which was valued between $1,400 and $1,800. And the motion carried. Well, we've been given bills to pay, and that's not what we did. We don't want to get involved with that. It's kind of, we just said do one thing and something else was done. And to be honest with you, as a selectman, I'm getting tired of telling a group to do one thing and they do something else and expect us to bail them out. So I'm not recommending we pay either one of those bills that they take care of it in-house and they come back to us, the donation. So what was the amount to, I'll make the motion, hereby approve the attached manifest unpaid bills detailed as of July 25th, 2019 in the amount of $690,857.81. This manifest includes Greenland School District payment of $500,000. That always takes your breath away, doesn't it? Do I have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think you're not hanging around to see if there's no national programming, so there's something. you want to
No,
do?
no,
Oh, okay.
we're just that interested in the town's business.
Oh, commendable.
I didn't come up with any ideas this meeting, so. I didn't pull any out of my head here. Okay, this is the 22nd, right? Okay. Can't tell me the dates. Anybody got anything else?
Not at this time.
Actually, I do have one thing. The 300th committee, I've been chairperson of that. I think it might be wise if somebody else took that over. Do you think it needs to be a select person?
think you need somebody to get off their ass, to be honest with you. The town has to decide what they wanna do. I don't see the, Stratton paid $90,000, and I don't see the town of Greenland doing it with the participation we got, coming up anywhere, coming up with even $9,000.
I don't, they put on an extravaganza play and all that stuff, but
No, I
I don't.
don't see us doing that either. They also have a population that's about 3 times us, so. But no, we can figure, come up and make money, it's still gonna take more people and it's had interest, so. I don't know.
Okay.
So you're gonna remain as chair
Well, I am for
now?
the rest of the
We
night.
got this meeting.
I can
Thank
nominate
you.
people in the hallway if you want.
Just to do that at planning, when we had great attendance after that day. Anything else, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I nominate Joe Hussey.
Okay, still on the air until the, just a reminder.
Standing up.
There you go. They're off the air.
Nominated. That's right.